Hello, everyone. How is it going? Welcome, welcome. I hope you're having an awesome Thursday night. And yep, you are definitely first there, Fish and Herb. All right, so I was going to play Pal World, but after seeing a few clips of Stanley Parable, I realized I had to play it. So here we are. Um, quite quickly changing plans and firing up the Stanley Parable. So let me bring that up here. Please work, game capture. Please work. Let's see. Ah, there it goes. Sweet. We are. All right. Let me fix one thing real quick. And boop boop doop. Can I please get to my channel and pop that out? Grab that. Put that back in, and my god, I just realized I had a whole bunch of stuff screwed up, and I did not even realize it. Ah! Alrighty, so we got that brought up. Alrighty, and let's go. Yep, English subtitles. We don't know Japanese yet, something we will be working. Have you played the Stanley Parable before? No, we have not. So this is going to be a first time experience. We're gonna keep that right where it is. Current time is for me. Yep. 8:06. So, why is it asking me the time? That's the spell the okay. That's all well and good. So we got coffee. We have gamer subs. We are ready to rock. Oh god, the phone's ringing. Someone answer the phone. Alright, let's make sure our settings are right. Video. Yep, 4K, borderless, anti. Yeah, I think we'll be okay there. Alright, so let's go. Yeah. The end is never, the end is never.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
No, I'm not.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
427's 10-8.
Number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
Nani?
Although others might have considered it soul-rending,
because
Stanley
it is.
relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Is this amateur science, where we do what we must because we can?
Something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been
do
at
what we
his desk
must
for nearly an
because
hour when he
we
realized
can.
that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete
He forgot to make order.
Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
No, we did. No, we did. Okay, we'll wait for some narration to pop up here. And let me adjust just a tad bit. Alrighty. Hello? Yep. And locked doors. What are we gonna do with locked doors?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I don't like that my door closed behind me. I really don't.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No.
Yeah, kinda.
I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
I will get this achievement. Don't you worry, narrator. Don't you worry.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost.
Hey, how far do I have to go?
20 clicks into door number 417.
417? Okay, at least they told us. The break door?
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Hey, he said to click this one. We're going to click this one. Damn it. I don't care what he says. Is this 437? Is this it? Come on, open the door. Open. Open the door. Open the door. Nah.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
415. Okay. Right here, Mondays.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautiful constructed
I am really getting unnerved by the doors
simply
closing
stood
behind
there,
me. I don't like
drinking it
that.
all in. Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly kept, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No, I didn't.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
This is really unnerving. I ain't even gonna lie.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red. All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically
absolutely.
for you?
Yep, it totally was.
I put a lot of time into that, because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours.
Nope,
What would
I will
have
not.
made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly, there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling.
Yep, let's go.
Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look. Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
There was a.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right. And if he reaches the fire, you fail.
What the hell is this?
Game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
What? Yeah, that's it. I'm done. Well, yeah.
You heartless bastard.
No, I can't take that no more.
Because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if
Purely
it's the
spite
latter,
you.
well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me.
Get rid of the
I'm not even
sound.
going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here?
Yep, this really is just
Yes,
ignore the
this
narrator
seems like
simulator.
it'll
I'm
work.
loving
Let's
it.
give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating.
Firewatch?
What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation?
Why are we playing
Well, it
Firewatch?
seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted, erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
We're playing Firewatch and Stanley Parable. Really?
Oh, no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls.
I wanted to go out there.
Big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
What the?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are
I'm
lots of cars
lost.
here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Dee, don't mind me.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought, and I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
check it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls!
What? Okay, what are we supposed to actually be doing at this point?
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's right. All
Okay.
little fun comes to an end. This is
Oh,
my
my.
game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you.
No, I
Without
don't.
rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best.
Okay.
Take care, Stanley.
Goodbye.
Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Okay, this is interesting so far. Wait, what are you doing? Don't go down that way. But I want to go down that way. No. Yes. No. Huh. Interesting. Dee, dee, dee. Oh, we've already been here. So what's this way? The one working light in the whole facility? Okay, this actually is kind of creepy.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll
Not listening
understand
to you.
soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am.
Nope.
That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon.
Okay.
I can wait.
The end is never the end. Why am I back here again?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office.
Yep,
but it didn't
that's
make
what we
a
do.
single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Shut up, narrator.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement?
Yeah, actually.
Click the door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No,
Yeah.
no. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
Give me the recognition. I will click the door however many times it
I have to
takes.
say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps
Give me
50
the achievement.
Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
I will click until the end of time. Give me the clicks.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
I know where it is.
Great. Now, go click a few times on door 437. Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Or is 415? 641.
Now, back to door number 437.
I wonder if he's going to have me going in circles just for this. I'm just kind of curious now.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
No, we're not. We're getting absolutely nowhere. I'm sure of it. Wait, he said 417.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
No, seriously, we disabled it. We're forgetting. Are there any more computers that require some kind of input? Nope, it's... Nope.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
I was off a dispute with the coworker. Like Bob was taking out passive aggressive with coworkers. What? Please do not steal. Everyone is unique, you most of all. Ain't that lovely?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
No, I didn't.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Sure there is. There's tools. Interesting tools.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Yep, that is what we do.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Because you want me to do something, and I refuse to do it. That's why.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever.
And that's the entire point.
To mention it.
And that's the entire point.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you don't talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite."
Oh yeah, the right broom closet, mate. Is it a pressure washer? I don't think so, but I really don't.
Fat and ugly and really, really stupid.
Hey,
He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is.
Hey,
all with drugs.
Screw you too, narrator.
Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
What the fuck? What is this narration?
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. Got to the broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities.
What?
It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species.
Oh,
Please
we're really
remove
getting lectured
their
by the
corpse from
narrator
area
on the
and
longevity of the
instruct
human
another human to
species.
take their
What?
place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them.
Oh, what? There's insightful
When you've done
commentary?
that, just step out into the hallway. Ah, you too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky.
What about
I'll
a
just be
cat?
waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
You know, we'll follow the narrator this time. Let's see what happens. If only the narrator knew. Ooh, executive bathroom. Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes. If the boss has suffered losses, then that's what the boss chose. Nani? What the heck? Why is that picture depicting that on the panda? How about no for that business strategy? A most expensive boss, and the most expensive boss?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
What the heck? So what is downstairs for the Stanley Parable?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Okay, so...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word Escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Let's go for it.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yeah, basically. Good night. Bye. Just like a cat, I will defy the narrator.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Except I'm not dead, apparently.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Yeah, we're here because we're cats. The office layout. Player shows office from the beginning of the game. The path to Stanley's office of the two doors is that the first part of the game is built. Huh. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. Office Computer Solitaire, Windows 3.1, and the employee database. Huh. Neat. I think it is a metaphor for either following the scripted line or just going off the rails. And just see what happens when you just completely ignore the narration. I think. The office. Oh, so this is actually the ending? What? Or is there really an ending? Office clock. The boss's office. Huh. Interesting. Different variations of the office. The lounge. The underground.
Stanley pushed the big red button.
Narration outtakes. Early.
Stanley pushed the big red button.
Is there?
Pushed the orange lever.
I'm kind of wondering if there. I'm kind of wondering if there is a big red button in here now. Okay, let's see what's up this way. The Freedom Mini. This is the very first incarnation of the Freedom Mini in the game's alpha. Countdown deaths. One of the deaths were an early version of the countdown ending. The monitor room elevator. The game design mock-up. Ooh. So different offices, different layouts, different designs. Ooh. This is broker. Oh my god. Sir, I have a question for you, sir. What is the message for today? Narrator emails? Wow. Warzone? What the? That would wage war against the narrator? That actually would have been a pretty fun one. G841, F41, the copier. Okay, so I'm guessing we have to go flip the switch, quite literally. Or perhaps the canon of the game is that there is no canon. Zending levers. Ah. Ah, the mock-up. The escape menu. Escape is now paused.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Oh, that actually scared me. I don't think there's anything to be truly scared of in this game. It's just how the game presents itself.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
No, they don't.
No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Good night. Don't let time choose. And yet here we are. The end is never the end. The end is loading, never. Oh, we're back in this one.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Mer. Mer. Is the end loading again?
All of his co-workers were gone. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
Oh, okay, so apparently there is something going on with the computer because it's waiting for input. And it's waiting for a different input.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
No, we didn't. It's a
But
never-ending
Stanley
story.
didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
Good
It's
question.
clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right.
Just open a door.
Okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way. No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just
Hello,
restart
Neo.
again
How's it
from the
going?
beginning.
Welcome, welcome.
And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Okay, what did I just witness here?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Except we're not going to go to the meeting room. We are going to definitely get lost again. So, which computer is it? Okay, I'm guessing there is no input computer in this timeline?
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh,
Nope.
Did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Why am I asking
Maybe.
you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago.
Uh-oh, the narrator lost the story. This cannot
Okay,
possibly end well.
It's an adventure. Come, Stanley, let's find the story.
Never-ending story. Who knows what you did? They're just holding back to let you torture yourself.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
What? Desk has changed.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
There should be an input computer here, but there's not.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
What story?
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so.
No, it is definitely not. It is definitely not.
The story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying
it. A lot
it.
of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job.
How about we get out of here?
Oh, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
And we're back. The Stanley Parable adventure line.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Impossible. We can't do it. I don't understand the instructions that have been presented to me. Well, what does this say? Okay, so... One computer off. Let's turn off all these computers, shall we? Save a little bit of power,
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story?
Of course.
Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct?
Okay, you're getting way too complicated.
Got a bit weird back there? Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Nope. Really? This? What the hell kind of line is this? What the frick? What kind of line? Like, whoever drew this line cannot draw. What the? Like, is it really that bad trying to find tax records? Like, is this actually a personification? Financial or corporate imbalances.
Wait, cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story.
Why?
Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
We are going to go back. But yeah, apparently that is now firmly chosen, so... Yep, the third hella people...
Wait, we're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
You're asking a line if it rings a bell. Really? But at least we're going to different rooms now.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been
Clippy!
through... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
And we're back again.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right?
It opened doors.
Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Okay.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be?
The story where we get out of here.
Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Just don't put us in the back rooms, narrator.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Well, it's a go to the roof. I don't think we can go to the roof.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact,
we're going to squander it.
A minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
What?
Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And
considering we don't know where we're going,
yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
I don't like this.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that
what?
mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay.
To make up a story, narrator, we start to see himself. There's no longer an office.
You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Okay, that was loud.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except
I refuse to answer the phone out there. I am not answering that damn thing. Nope.
Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years
Okay,
gone
I really
by?
want to go smash
He
that
no
phone
longer
now.
had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He
And
will
restart.
be told what to
Restart.
do.
Restart.
Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Restart.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
I'll be back in a
All
minute.
of my co-workers.
Okay, we're back.
Blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all, none of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley
124B.
pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm
So far,
dreaming about a
accurate.
voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever
Are we
been in
gonna
his
get
life.
anywhere, or are we just gonna sit here and
Now, hearing
narrate?
the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one.
I'll be napping,
He thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want.
except it's not what he
want my
wants.
apartment and my wife and my job. All I
all
want
the
is
good
my
things.
life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
No, we're not. We're still in this thing.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Merp. Hey,
This
did
is
we
the
restart?
story of a woman named Mariella.
Nani?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk
Aperture
was
science.
interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew.
Must have been
Everyone
Mr.
knows what
Stanley.
crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal.
Except she's
I am
not.
sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day.
Oh, Buckeye
Very
meeting.
important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by
Uh-oh.
extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she
Merp.
turned and ran.
Well, why run? I think that was Stanley. And we're back.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
Except it's not what he wanted. But the music is definitely different.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say when Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper, something darker.
The
But
laziness.
eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the
Well,
story, no one gets to tell him what to
okay.
do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Okay, maybe that
Good
wasn't the
job,
wisest
Stanley.
choice.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Yay!
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Wait a minute, that was a different direction. That was definitely a different direction.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
This thing's getting faster. So why is the fern important? That's the question the game is not answering yet. Ow! Why am not I am not a Pokemon, dang it! Okay, so it literally goes nowhere.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
And where do we go from here? Loading? Another ending? Nope.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Yeah, let's just see what the city brings.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Oh, no, I think I went down that before. That actually does lead to death.
Now the monitors jumped to life. their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
There's our number, 427. So it would be 10-8. Yeah, I think I'd been down that one, but I get the feeling we're going to be able to go down that path again probably before long. I guess I'll go this way now.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
Pirates?
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
I get the feeling there's another... The control status. Offline! It's all offline! And I saw 3 over here. Did I miss number 4 or?
And when at last he found the source,
And as he found the source, he pressed the off button. Oh, we got music? Did we get an ending? Yay!
blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty.
Excellent.
Was it over?
Probably not.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be
Yeah, we're free!
And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him.
Except as another
This
form
was
of control.
exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
The parable is concluded for this round. Complete the Stanley Parable. Really, that's the end of it? Well, a ending of it? And we're back, again.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Okay, so the input moved again. They're more traditional input this time. New content?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
I don't know, but we're going for it. Let's go!
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
It really?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally,
this took a while.
At long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Okay, Mr. Narrator.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Let's see what we got. Really?
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Really? A jump circle? Really?
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive.
I
It's
am
just
quite with you there,
elevators and
narrator.
jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to
Really?
be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fanbase rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable.
Except Twitter doesn't exist anymore.
I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
I don't think he gave us a choice in the matter. What the? This is not the office. This is not my office.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something. Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. Oh, never mind. You're not a dog.
I don't know if we should be doing this, but here we are.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
The outside.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then,
the Stanley Parable, The Last of Us.
Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
The original remake. Buy on Steam, what everyone's saying. Don't forget. Memory, sweet memory. Can't open that door. Not opening that. Ooh. Time indoors monthly shapes. Graphs dash cargo. Really? The Stanley Parable CD, trip down memory lane, smile because it happened. The Stanley Parable demonstration. New video game releasing today. Stanley Parable deals tough choices. Oh, this is nice.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote,
Oh my
"Where
god.
so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives
Mod
and then
DB,
succeeds
Big
to be
Sushi.
every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley
is this thing
Parable
high?
anymore. It's
Is the
just a
narrator
husk
okay? Does he need a
nothing.
Snickers?
A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
I think the narrator needs a Snickers. Unity? They actually put a screenshot of Unity into the game? I guess they made this in Unity? Numbers 29? That's gotta be
Here's another
significant.
moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature
while
of
it's reading
choice
this,
in
I'll be right
games,
back.
and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Okay, we're back. Yeah. Okay. Carpet textures. Repeat. 66 royalty-free designs. Oh, as a developer, I actually appreciate that so much now. The serious room.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Okay, I can appreciate this game. It's taking a piss all over itself now.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Okay, a game that can make fun of itself, I can truly appreciate.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, his preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Or maybe it is. And you can't please everybody. Maybe that's what they're really saying with the negative reviews here. Reviews? So, oh, that's where I go. So, into the money.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
Damn, that's kind of scathing.
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past. You're back, you see? You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer in my... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me.
I'm about
because
to
maybe,
skip.
Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality.
And there we go.
Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is...
Is the narrator gone? Okay, that's a very annoying sound. Yeah, we're skipping that crap. Good night.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review.
Yeah,
and
I think the narrator's got off the deep end.
But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart
God.
the words that they are...
Narrator, we get it. We actually get it. Okay, how long has it actually been? Because apparently in game it's been years.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
The end is apparently never the end, apparently. Well, damn. Apparently, a pretty bad storm is hitting. So we'll skip right through all that. Well, that's disconcerting. But where's the door gone? The door's been gone for years. Okay, that's kind of disconcerting. That sounds like it's very haunted outside. Oh, dear. Welcome to the desert of the real. Well, let's see. Can we skip ahead one more time? Nope. Apparently we can't. That is the end of that tale of the parable.
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
Okay. So we're getting a lot of cardboard boxes, apparently. So the narrator is suspiciously quiet. Okay, the narrator is not narrating. New content.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
And we're just going straight this time instead of going to the right. I gotta see the boxes before I get excited about them. Okay.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further.
Even further?
I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
What? The end is never the end again.
Is far superior to a measly re-release
Or
with a few minor
2-7.
additions. Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience built from the ground up.
And
Why
a
there's so many
MacBook or in an
possibilities, it could go in
iMac.
so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, Taste the sequel. What the heck?
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you
Oh,
think?
oh, they've
Ultra
upgraded Windows
Deluxe?
10.
What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
If you say so there, narrator, if you say so. The new content is out. New content part 2 is in. Old busted, new hotness. Cool red section of the of the Stanley Parable 2. The fern has not changed. Stanley Parable 2. Yeah, that is Death by PowerPoint. I'd recognize that anywhere. Let's see. The two. That's creepy.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Okay. Interesting so far. It's a whole bunch of 2's scribbled everywhere. This way to the show floor. The new features. Two.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
What are the new features? To feature infinite hull. Improvements, collectibles, exit, jump circle. you find them? Can you find them? Can you find them? The achievement. Receive your new achievement. No more steps. Get yours right now.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to... Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
I guess it's still 100% broken. Okay, so what else is here? Let's go up.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Damn, like that's pretty bad. Merch.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Stanley Parable reassurance bucket. Okay, I gotta see this.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel...
But you saw a QR code?
And
Where?
perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution.
The comfort bucket.
Give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact,
It's a
can I say that I do
bucket.
believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the
What?
slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
I guess we can't put the bucket down, can we? Yep, the comfort bucket. I might as well remember that
Does anyone
one.
give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
The level is... What? What the heck? Oh. You know, now I'm curious. I am genuinely curious. Hold on, my model will be paused for a second here. I've got to see if this actually works. Oh my god, it actually does. Oh my god, it goes to an actual site. Completely useless, but it actually goes to it. What the heck? Okay, this game is actually fun. Okay, and back to live 2D. There we go. Office decorations. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Your head, your name in the game.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the
okay,
final
apparently
game,
we are
this
now
button will
Jim.
say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind,
Okay, or we're
forget
apparently
whoever
Jim
you
for a
are,
minute.
and simply become a person named Jim.
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Jim.
See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name, the button says. But no. Instead, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away.
What? It's gone? What? No, not the Jim button. I like the Jim button. Oh, okay, so he takes away the Jim button, but leaves me with a bucket. Please, no
Maybe I'll only
screenshots.
let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. They would appreciate what I've created here.
Please, no screenshots.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Great! Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Okay, and I guess we're back in the hole now. Did you really need to see it again? I don't know what else there is to say, Stanley. It's an infinite hole. It's exactly what you're doing right now, but forever. There really are so many other fascinating exhibits that I've prepared for you. I really spent quite a lot of time on all this, and I would very much like to show you some more of them. How about we go ahead and press that teleport button again so we can get back to what's really important about... Oh, goodness. Well, this is rather embarrassing, Stanley. I'll be honest with you. I truly did not believe that anyone would actually stay in the hole long enough to hit the bottom.
It's not infinite.
No, I told you the hole was infinite, but come on. Who actually wants to fall forever? The hole was plenty deep. It was more than deep enough, in my opinion. Maybe it's you who likes falling too much. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think
Let's be real, I probably am the problem here. Let's be honest.
Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Yep, the mostly infinite hole. Oh, we can't go any further up? Dang. Hole like infinity, space like infinity, time like infinity, distant space time, distant space time. What? Like, okay, having a Penrose diagram was a nice touch. I gotta admit that. Collectibles mostly. What's this?
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
What?
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic. All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
That's why we're exiting.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
What?
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, this is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Well, the Stanley Parable 2. It is an infinitely loading screen. What the heck?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a
Beep, 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 beep. Welcome, Stanley, to heaven. Wait. Okay, what am I supposed to do here? There's no way this is heaven. If this is heaven, then heaven sucks. I'll be real. Welcome to heaven. Wah, 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 wah. Nope, we're not going back to heaven. Heaven sucks.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley picked up the bucket.
I think the bucket literally has no purpose, but it's a Stanley Parable too, apparently.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk that it has to
What?
resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to
What?
get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. Now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends. That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient. That your life is so
What?
banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner. Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your
What the
feelings for the bucket
frick?
as they have changed.
All of
and
this
evolved
over a
the years.
bucket?
Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
All of this with the bucket. Really? God, we're gonna probably have to wrap up here soon. It is
The
10:30,
elevator
and
raced
there's a couple of
downward,
things I do need to
plummeting
do.
towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Yeah, Money Viz, hello, welcome, welcome. Good night. The end is never the end. The Crushinator.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a
Really?
sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to
And now
an
we have a
end
new
as it
narrator
was
again.
crushed violently to death.
Think.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
What? Welcome. The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. Their knowledge of the bucket history. Oh my god, really? Like a
Can you
monument
see how
to the
arrogant
bucket?
it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
The Inferno bucket replica, the Inferno above the medieval. What the frick? Cave drawing of a bucket.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. This is all for our own good. I just reached out and grabbed the bucket.
There is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new...
Nope, we're not gonna die. Not to that.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy, it's as clear as day. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Merp.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
They're back to here again.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket.
Oh my
even
god.
tighter.
All that over
Of
a
course, she
bucket?
had no
Really?
choice. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
What? What the frick? And we're back here again.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Okay, so the narration's different.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him. The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me.
No.
It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Are you sure about that?
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
First how to join your life except for the bucket.
It's sad.
Really?
I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Be the same day with me over and
What am I
over.
saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Home to work to home to work to home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say.
Like,
Do anything
okay,
it
this is
asks.
getting weird.
What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
Go back to work, Stanley. Okay. I don't want to know what happened with the bucket. I would rather not know. Blissful ignorance and that kind of thing.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. just a matter of time. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Taste the sequel. What the frick? And boop, boop, ba-doop, boop, ba-doop, boop, boop.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Okay, narrator. Okay.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket, Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
It was wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Except I'm not doing what the bucket's asking.
No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless... What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
What? Really?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right?
What
This should
the-
tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what
Really?
is or
A
is
bucket
not
test?
a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
What?
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
What is the difference between a 3D printed replication
Item
of a
3.
bucket?
Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
We're gonna say yes on this.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
I am loving the narrator.
Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
What?
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
What?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I
I've
a
confused
bucket?
the narrator.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
Nope. What? Where's
What
my bucket?
happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea.
Well, now you know. Now bring
Except
back the
me.
buckets.
I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game.
Well, you did erase
Tell
it.
you what? I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Yep. Life is a bucket.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
And okay, that was genuinely creepy. Actually, seeing someone else finally.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
No. Oh, wait. Trust the completionist instinct. Oh my god. Okay, this joke did not age well, did it? Apparently there's one in the bathroom.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The bulk
Yes.
of it. It wants the bucket. You're coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Another miniature Stanley figurine.
What?
This,
Oh my god.
There really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs.
Oh my
What
god.
about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
This game is amazingly self-aware. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp. What?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley?
What?
What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
If the literal worthless figurines that have no actual purpose. Except for just to be collectibles and do nothing. Beeping.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Yeah, you got a fair point there, Nia.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Stanley and the bucket, and the bucket. Kick the bucket. Oh, wait a minute. Don't kick the bucket.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped. monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Beep, ever beep.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control.
Oh my God.
He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
And still can get up there to get that one. Unless, maybe...
When at last they came to the source of the room's... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror.
Uh-oh.
Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible distance.
Sure, give credit for that to the bucket.
Never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Or so we thought.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. for now.
But it's not closing that door. And
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
the person that was walking there last time is not there anymore. I wonder. Is it'll put me back in quote unquote heaven. Whoa. What the heck? What is this? The bucket. What the hell? Okay, not really sure what's going on here. The bucket, do we know? Yeah, I don't think we're actually moving anywhere in there. I need to understand what that ending is. Yeah, we're not sticking around in there again. Nope. 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 I don't like that. I don't like that quote unquote heaven.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Still though, that is a good place to leave off for the night because it is 11 o'clock, and yeah, we have been at this for a while. You know, that's definitely not A2, but yeah, that was quite the interesting experience. I did not really expect to go to Bucket Land, but here we were. So let's see who all we got online. And let's see. I fully agree. Bucket Land is kind of like what the heck. Yeah, we're going to pass it over to Confused Coast. Confused Coast is awesome. We don't often get a chance to raid Coast. Normally, Coast is raiding us. So, with that, we are going to pass it over to Confused Coast, and we'll be back tomorrow, actually, with Coast to wrap up, Borderlands 2, I hope, or at the very least, get closer to it. So, with that, I will see you all tomorrow night. So, good night and take care, everybody. Bye bye. Yeah.